Glitch Please, the show where we talk about video games every week. I'm Ashley.
I'm Chad.
And I'm Adam.
I understand you guys had some trouble with that last week.
No.
I'm sorry, I got really sick last week.
Yeah, what happened to you?
I had to go, if my insides tried to eat my outsides, I had to go to the doctor.
Nice.
I was in the middle of getting ready to come to work to do this, and I was like it felt like girl cramps, and then it started to feel, so I was like, it's fine. I get those all the time. I can deal with this. Getting ready, put on my makeup, and then it started to get way worse than that. And basically, by the time you guys started rolling on recording the podcast, I was like on the floor on the phone with a doctor saying, I need to come in right now.
Damn.
Oh, man.
So they had to give me anti-nausea medication just to keep painkillers down.
Wow.
It was weird.
Glad you're feeling better.
That's crazy.
Thanks, yeah. I spent 4 days in bed and I feel great.
Nice.
So.
What'd you play while you were in bed?
Lots of Yakuza.
Okay.
So Yakuza 6 is coming out. It already came out for a lot of people if you had the demo.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. The longest demo ever.
Yeah, the demo that accidentally had the whole game in it. But I also, I went back, I've been playing some of the, like the side quest stuff in Ni no Kuni 2, because I think I'm going to platinum this one. I think this one deserves a platinum.
Okay, it seems like your kind of game.
Yeah. It's like they went down the list of things that Ashley loves and made sure they were all in there. And so I feel like it needs the platinum. And also I looked through the trophies, and it's a lot of completionist stuff, like basically do every side quest, do every skirmish, max out your kingdom, stuff that you would expect.
So you're just like, oh god, this is gonna be a long haul.
It's not that bad.
Okay.
I don't think there's that much in that game. Like it's a pretty vast game, but like checking off boxes, there isn't like that many areas to visit, and like they're not that grand.
Oh, okay.
Like.
So it's doable.
Yeah, I think we're looking at maybe an 80-hour platinum.
Okay.
And coming off like a 190-hour platinum or whatever, it seems easy in comparison. Yeah. So that's nice. But yeah, I went through playing it. There's so much about that game that I enjoy. The side quests are admittedly kind of repetitive. There's a lot of fetch stuff like go get this or go kill this and then come back to me.
Yeah.
And so that does get a little bit repetitive, but if you break it up with skirmishes, which skirmishes have been the bane of the game for me. For those who haven't played it, who aren't familiar with the game, skirmishes are this sort of like top-down RTS style mini game within the game. And where you take 4 different companies of troops. So you can have swords, you can have spears, you can have hammers, and then you can have ranged, which come in a couple of varieties. There's bow and arrow, there's gunners, there's defense guys that can just take a lot of damage if you put them up front. There's sorcerers who will throw fireballs. So you can take 4 of those and you put together a company.
Okay.
And then it's basically rock, paper, scissors, where hammer beats spear, spear beats sword, sword beats hammer. And so you want to try to position your troops so that the strongest one is taking on the troops that they have an advantage against.
Okay.
So that it makes it easier, you lose fewer troops, it's great. As you go through, you level up. Each of the different companies will gain experience and they will individually level up as a company. And so then you get your overall like average, say like, hey, you've got 2 guys that are level 4, 2 guys that are level 6, so we're like level 5-ish. And then as you go around the world, there's these different skirmishes. Some of them are part of side quests, some of them pop up kind of randomly, and you can participate in these skirmishes. There is a trophy for that. It is required if you want to platinum it. And there's 50 of them total around the world. And the weird thing is they seemed to go, the ones that I was encountering seemed to go from here's like level 4, here's level 12, here's level like 25, and here's level 40. And there just wasn't much of a jump in between. It felt like, I was like, do I need to take on the 41 and just lose repeatedly because you get to keep retrying it and you get the experience? Do I just need to throw myself into the jaws of death repeatedly, or what do I do? There is a thing in there where you can bolster your troops. So if you're underleveled, you can spend one of the currencies in the game, King's Guilders, which are what you use to improve your kingdom, to give your troops more hit points. and such. And I hadn't done too much with that, but last night and throughout the weekend, I was going through some of the different skirmishes and found out that, you know what? I can totally be 10 levels under whatever I'm fighting as long as I just throw all those on there.
Oh, there you go.
Just spend a little bit of those King's Guilders and bam, there you're set, you're ready. You're invincible.
Pay to win, right?
Yeah, you do pay to win. So once I figured that out, skirmishes got way easier. And I can't say I don't like rolling over dudes that are supposed to be real hard.
I didn't love skirmishes, but I liked everything else about that game. The game's really charming. So good, so good.
Yeah, so did a lot of that. I've played, since I wasn't on last week, I played Minit, I played A Way Out. I played A Way Out with Bernie, and now I kind of have a grudge against him.
Oh, was it not?
It's one of those games?
It's the kind of game where I held Bernie responsible for his character's actions.
Okay, well, don't say too much.
No, but it's, the characters like don't get along great. They have very different outlooks on how the world works.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the game a bunch. I loved the co-op of it. Super unique having it. Have you played it?
No.
It's a split screen. And you can play it locally, like couch co-op, or you can play it online, but you're still seeing each other's screens. And
That's cool.
you also only need one copy of the game to play with two people, even online.
Which is so great.
You just invite them to the game, and I don't know.
Awesome.
I haven't tried it, but somehow that magically works.
Okay.
You send them an invite, they download the demo off of the store, and then you can link it up with a code, and then you can play together.
There we go.
That's how it works.
There's a version called Friends Pass that you download. It's great.
So I automatically like that.
Oh yeah, that's great. And there's not many co-op games,
Right.
So every time you get a good one, it's really nice to see that somebody's actually caring and doing that.
Yeah,
I agree.
I always get sad when I search Steam tags and I sort by co-op and it's like, there's a few hundred, and it's like they're all shitty.
Yeah, I mean, there's ones that are just amazing fun. Overcooked is
But that's local,
It is, yes.
Yeah, my co-op partner lives in Philly, so it's hard to make those sort of games work.
You know what would be cool is if you had VR. Okay, just stick with me here.
Okay.
You take VR, and you both got your VR helmets on, and then you're in a room together, and you sit down on a couch next to each other, and then you co-op a game.
Think about how ridiculous that would be, though. Hey, okay, I'm glad we're gonna play this game together. Now we strap into the virtual
I feel like,
world.
But then you can pretend that you're playing it, in the same room. It's a virtual couch co-op.
I feel like VR chat might have that. I've definitely, me and my friend were playing VR chat and walking around and playing mini games within VR. They weren't necessarily on a screen, but I'm sure that that exists in some amalgamation on VR chat. So you might be onto something.
Nice.
You
Nice.
mentioned Overcooked, and my wife keeps asking. She's like, I keep hearing about this game, Overcooked. We should play it. And I'm like, listen, I really like being married to you. So we should not play that game.
Yeah.
She really wants to do it. So I'm like, she keeps. Well, I'll see. I'm just like, I know that will not go well.
The first major test of my relationship with Bernie is he decided he wanted to 100% this game called Flock.
I remember that.
This was an Xbox 360 game, if I recall correctly. I don't know. I've blocked out a lot of details for my own peace of mind. But it's this stupid game that's so cute where you play as alien spaceships trying to abduct animals. Okay. So sometimes it's sheep. You're trying to abduct sheep. And so you just have the spaceship and you use your tractor beam to basically herd them around. And it starts off really easy. It's kind of a puzzle game. You have to guide the sheep around these different obstacles, and sometimes you have to change things in the level in order for it to become a path all the way through. Here we go.
It's like
This is it.
It's the happy version of Destroy All Humans.
Yeah, so it's cute. It's cute and it's fun. So you have to get all these animals. The sheepies are my favorite. If you push the tractor beam down on the animals too much, you will squish them.
Okay.
And in order to get 100%, you have to get every animal in every level.
So you can't actually use tractor beam to suck them up and drop them off.
Unfortunately, no, that would be an easy game.
That's the shitty.
That's you guys are
alien
bumping each other?
technology.
Yeah, you bump it. Yeah, I think I was probably trolling him at that point. At some point, I just like started drinking wine to cope because there are levels where it's a night level, and part of getting 100% of the animals means if there is a place where you can make two animals hook up and make a baby, they have to hook up, make the baby because the baby counts as one of the possible animals. So you do that at night when wolves are attacking, and it gets really, really aggravating really, really quickly. And so we actually did this was before he reformatted game time into kind of an interview thing. This was the last hurrah of old style game time videos. And so we did Flock, we 100%ed it, and that was a test. I feel like if you can survive some of these co-op games, you can survive anything. You know what another one is? Portal.
Portal? Really? April and I played Portal and it was like no problem. We did really well together in
See,
Portal.
you might do well with Overcooked then. Maybe you should have more faith in your relationship.
I liked Portal co-op. That was so much fun. Man.
Yeah, I
like co-op puzzle games.
Yeah,
They're good
well,
fun.
puzzle games are fun.
Just
think about the fast-paced pressure and the timer of Overcooked that like it just breeds that environment for people to just start being like, "What are you doing?" You know, like.
I find it helps.
It's more unforgiving.
Yeah.
It is, and I find it helps in a lot of those games to have the chief. Who is giving the orders?
Right.
And who is taking the orders? I will take the orders all day long. Don't ask me to give them. And then we're good. Then we're good. As long as I can drink if things get really upsetting.
Yeah, that's right. Your coping wine. You always have that ready, right, next to your controllers. and
Look,
everything.
it's like I keep a jug in my purse just in case I need to cope, if you know what I mean. So I do love co-op, though. I feel like there aren't nearly enough co-op games, so something like A Way Out, I'm just immediately in favor of already. And it goes through a lot of the tropes that you would expect of any kind of prison break revenge movie. It goes through a lot of that typical plot structure, but I have a lot of fun with it. And also, just knowing, it makes me want to play through it again, knowing that there are things that only occurred because we decided to do one thing as opposed to another thing.
Sure.
There's one part where you can try and skydive, and that lands you closer to your destination, or you can land the plane, and that's going to land you further away, and so then you have to like trek into your destination. I decided to skydive.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, everyone would.
But there's an event that only happens if you skydive. So it makes me ask, what would have happened if we landed? And so I kind of want to go back through and make all the opposite choices. But we'll see. We'll see. I gotta.
I know a lot of those
my
choices
grudges go.
don't make a huge difference. Like, you know, the one in the beginning of the game where you can go over the bridge or under the bridge. Basically, you go under the bridge, you stealth across, and then you go run through the woods because you're getting chased. If you go over the bridge, you drive across, and then you're getting chased through the woods. It's like very minor.
Sure, but it's just those events. I just kind of want to see what
Yeah.
the other events are.
Yeah.
And then Minit, which we had Minit on our E3 stream last year, and it was the first I'd heard of it, first I've seen of it, but it was really cool. I hadn't played a game like that. Apparently there is a game that came out for PSP called A Half Minute Hero with a similar concept, but it's like 30 seconds instead. But have you played Minit?
No, but you told me about it
You're a
last
great
week.
person to talk to about all of this
I know,
stuff.
it's great. Well, you talked to me about it last week, and it sounded really, really interesting.
Yeah, so Minute, you live for a minute, and then you will die and you will respawn. And anything you changed in the world, well, not anything, but a lot of the things, if you picked up a key or a coin or a sword, then you will have that.
When you respawn.
Yes. And then you basically spend your time solving these little bits of puzzles at a time and trying to figure out what to do next time you're alive.
Yeah, it sounds really cool.
And it's a very simple art style. There's really not a lot of dialogue. There's like one dude who will talk to you, and he talks really slow. He will take up your entire minute.
Yeah.
It's like Kapora Gabora of the game. Right.
Just really slow, and the text is coming across, and so you're just like, go.
It tells you about treasure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but it's a lot of fun. So I enjoyed that game. I ended up finishing it. I was faffing around a bit, so maybe 2 hours.
Yeah.
But then it unlocks. There's a second run through, and then there's a third run through, and I don't know what those consist of yet. It changes some stuff.
It's $10. I think it's a fun little mess around game.
Yeah. You know, I mean, some people might have trouble justifying 2 hours, $10, but if you want to do the replay factor, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I love it, and I love seeing these indie games with just bizarro concepts that are so well executed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the cost of a meal, whatever, you know.
Right.
So the reason I haven't been playing anything else is because I'm glad I'm back to talk about this. I've been playing Sea of Thieves like religiously.
Really?
Okay, talk to me.
Yes.
Talk to me. So
man.
has Bernie. And every time I see him, he's doing the same thing, and he seems miserable while he's doing it, but he can't stop.
Oh, see,
and he's happy, but he's constantly complaining.
Okay, so here's the deal. Like, I know that I should be at that point where I'm starting to get burned out.
What are
because
your
they're-
levels?
I'm almost 30 with each.
Okay. So you're
it's
about
like-
the same place.
Yeah, yeah.
You and him should party up.
Yeah, we totally should. So like here's why I'm playing it. So you know, after we did our discussion and everything, and I was like, my buddy started playing, so he texted me. He's like, hey, let's play some Sea of Thieves, and I was like, okay, like, you know, it's better together, right? We have become like professional pirates. Like, we have our main crew, and then we have like the extras if somebody can't make it, and like, we have built this well-oiled machine of like how to just destroy everyone in this game. So like, I don't know why I'm not bored with it yet, because I've done everything the game has to offer, but like every time we go do like a skull fort or something like that, you know, the experience is different. And we kind of make our own new ways to like screw with people. Like, you know, you can bring the TNT to them, or like, you know, you dive aboard, and like we've created me and one of the other guys, we will like, so my character's an old man, if you guys remember that from when we played.
Did you just take the first character that you saw?
No, I kept going.
How long did you keep going through it?
No, probably like 10 minutes.
Okay, and then you saw the old man, and you thought, he's the one.
He's the one. And so it's great. So in this other guy, he named his thing Rook Sparrow. He renamed his gamer tag just to do that. And so he'll jump aboard and be like, prepare to be boarded by Rook Sparrow. Like, and so we
role play.
Oh yeah. So we have a blast. And so like we'll board and we'll just like screw with people. We'll see how long we can stay alive. We've jumped on board and we were like playing songs and like singing to them. And then we've had just some really, really like epic moments too. Like probably my greatest moment of Sea of Thieves happened earlier this week. And it was a 4-hour long battle for the Skull Fort. So like we got the key, they managed to track us down, and before we could hide it, they sunk us. They took the key, and we're like, all right, well, we're never gonna let them turn that in. So it became this whole chase forever. And
they've updated the game now, so if they sink you, you respawn further away than you
Thank
used to. You used to
God.
respawn
Yeah,
at the next island over and probably got resunk again.
Yep.
Yeah.
But now you spawn further away.
Yeah.
How much further?
It's pretty far. God, we were probably in the middle of the map, and then we respawned in the bottom corner. So like,
Okay.
Wow.
So it just
Way
pops you
further.
somewhere else.
Right.
Not the next island over. You can't just peer through your scope and look at people.
And that has helped a lot, because that was one of the big problems of the game, is like we would like go in, decimate people who are at a Skull Fort, start doing it, and they're already back. We had one encounter where we sunk somebody 4 times before then they just waited on the outskirts for us to finish it and then just chased us forever.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that they made that change. But anyway, we're chasing these guys, and we finally line it up so where we get like maybe a couple cannon shots. So I hit 2 cannonballs like into the bottom of their ship, then quickly reposition it, jump in the front of it, and blast myself over. Managed to catch the ladder with
my God.
shot, stand up, and then I get one of their crew members turning and looking at me like almost like just bewildered, like no fucking way. And I blast the dude, and then I run over, hit the anchor. So then our ship starts coming up, pelting him with more cannonballs, and then I kill every single person on that ship.
That's great.
Yeah,
That sounds fucking awesome.
Oh, it was so cool. And so we like every night we like have encounters like that. If we're up for like every now and then, you know, like one of our guys will just be like, can we just have a chill night? Let's just go collect some treasure. And, you know, and we'll screw with some people. But like we have all gotten so good at our roles, and like we barely even need to communicate. Like if we see like a ship, we already know that like one of our guys has grabbed a black powder thing out of the crow's nest. I'm blasting aboard to see if they've got any treasure and to start killing them. Then he'll sink their ship. Sometimes we'll take their ship and then just see how long we can keep killing them while sailing their ship away. It's amazing how many people don't know that they can scuttle their ship. But yeah, it's crazy. We've had so many awesome nights like that.
I'm glad to hear that like some people are still enjoying it, because conceptually it's such a great concept, but you know, for some of us, not the best.
For me, it's that for a game like that, I need to be able to do other types of things.
Yeah.
So I can.
Go to like Tortuga and drink and.
Yeah, like maybe I want to like
Kirby.
play a drinking game and like do some like play some cards or something.
Right.
or there's not really a social space. There's just the one thing that you can do is, you can do two things. You can either sail around sinking people's ships, or you can take one of the missions and go and try and follow the map, dig up the treasure, and or kill the skeleton or whatever. Take the thing back to the dude, and there you go.
Yep.
It's either fetch quests or trolling, and I just feel like I want a couple of different types of things to do.
Oh, totally.
Not just different skins on the same fetch quests.
Yeah, I know, and they really do need to make. They need to drop something soon that's like I know they've talked about like we want to have giving everybody their own little hideouts and things like that, but like it's getting to be about time where they need to be like, here's the plan. That said, I know they are taking like a lot of community feedback into account, and like they're pretty vocal about saying we're listening to what you guys are saying, and we're making fixes to the game right now based on your current feedback. So that's why they're saying they're not announcing anything. But like I think it'd be really smart if really soon they kind of laid out the plan for Sea of Thieves.
I look forward to seeing what they lay out and see how robust they're aiming to tackle and how robust they're aiming to make the game. So
Yeah.
I would absolutely like to get back into it. I think in order to like the game right now, you have to really, really just like sailing.
Yeah.
You have to really, really like it, which, it's a game about pirates, so that makes a lot of sense. But like right now, just that is the thing. If you're not enjoying the sailing mechanic above all other things, you're probably not going to have the best time.
Yeah.
It's going to get old quick.
I will say that like when you have like a dedicated crew that you always play with, like sailing the ship becomes a lot less of like a focus because like we just know what to do. It's like we already feel, our guy's already starting to turn the ship, so we're already over on the sails, like putting them to stay with the wind. And the other time we're just messing around with each other, playing music and whatever. The other day, one of our other things we like to do is just collect as many TNT barrels as possible, just while we're doing stuff. And the other day, like we had our crow's nest like absolutely full of them. We ended up counting them up when we turned them in. We had 18.
Jeez.
So, like, and that was after we were screwing with some people and like blowing up ships. So.
Okay, here's a question. So for each of the different classes, or each of the different categories that you can level up in, there's there's basically chests,
Merchants.
chests, merchants, and the skulls.
Right, yeah.
Order of souls,
Order of Souls, Gold Hoarders, and the Merchant.
Yeah.
Something.
So they've each got these commendations under them that want you to do certain things. Some of them are weird, like turn in so many crates of bananas.
Oh God. Okay.
Where do you even find the crates?
I had that
to put the bananas in. I have not come across very many of those, not nearly enough to make up a commendation in any kind of reasonable time.
So here's the deal. I had that same problem because I got a message in a bottle and it was like, turn in a crate of bananas or cannonballs or whatever it was. And I'm like, I went to like forts, outposts, like things, and I'm like, where the fuck do you find these crates? And I'm like, has anyone else ever seen these? And they're like, no. and then I walked up to the merchant and I said, hey, what's up? And he's like, here's your crate. Go fill it.
Oh,
and I was
man.
like,
But they
son of a
don't-
bitch. Like,
But do they give you those
tells
kinds
you
of
at the-
missions?
It tells you, no, like I've only got it from message in a bottle, but then at the very bottom of the message in a bottle or something from the merchant thing, it says like,
Visit
see
a
a vendor or
merchant.
whatever, and I
Yeah.
was just like, but I did that exact same thing. That said, it's really fun because those are pretty rare, and when you come across somebody who had one of those on their boat, it's a great way to just really screw them over. Like we hopped on a sloop the other day, and we hear them after we killed him, like, whatever, we only have one thing, and then it happened to be an empty crate of cannonballs. So we stole all of their cannonballs. Like,
Sure.
We literally took all of them,
As you
dumped them into this crate.
the pirates love.
Yeah, exactly. That was great.
That's hilarious.
I was looking at the achievements as well, and I think this shows sort of the disconnect between probably what the developers were expecting people to be super into and what the majority of people ended up being super into. Like there's, oh God, where are these?
There's one that's like, turn in like 100 crates of bananas or something like that.
Yeah.
That's ludicrous. Like I've had the actual quest and turned in a crate of cannonballs. That's all, and I've been playing a ton. So like, and then again, a lot of our playing is like taking on skull forts and making crazy pirate battles happen. But yeah, we should definitely play sometime. I think you'd like what you wanted when we were talking about it. Like that's what I've been getting this whole time.
No, I get
like,
you,
it's
man.
having a crew
When they update,
that's
I might
like
come back.
Your crew,
Yeah.
your people is very different than randoms. I won't play with randoms. I just have no interest in it whatsoever.
No, when I played with randoms, like my first day, all I did was get sent to the jail.
The brig.
The brig.
And they have announced that they're updating that. They're adding private crews basically, so you can say if you want people to be able to join or not, which is also a much
Or you can just have a 3-person crew and troll people by voting them into the brig for fun. That's the fun in the game.
Here's how I flipped it on somebody. This happened to me last night
You just
because
didn't leave.
nobody on the crew was like down to play, and I was like, well, maybe I'll do a solo mission. I'm like, let me load into someone's crew and just see where they're at. And I literally loaded onto this boat that is full of like chickens, snakes, and pigs in cages, right? I'm like, damn, somebody's like on a mission for the Merchant Alliance to like really like turn in a ton of stuff, right? I'm like, okay, this will be great. They immediately put me in the brig. And then I'm like, really? They're like, oh yeah, you should just leave. And I was like, fuck you. And I just and sleep. And then I tabbed out and I started playing another game.
Yep.
And I stayed there the entire time, and I just did something else, but I left my character there so they couldn't get the other person, and I ended up making, I think, 15K gold from all the stuff that they ended up turning in, until they eventually then just disbanded it all.
Yep.
That's funny.
So
Yeah, don't be an asshole.
yeah.
All right, here are the achievements that I think show that they were expecting something different. There's an achievement for turning in 1,000 captain's chests.
Yeah.
So there's a couple different tiers of chests. There's at the base there's a shipwreck chest, and then there's a seafarer's chest, and then there's a marauder's chest.
Yes, marauder's
And then
chest.
there's a captain's chest. And then if you do the raid, there's another chest above that. But
There's actually also little fun side chests that we never.
oh
came
yeah,
across.
like there's a drunk chest and there's the
Yep.
crying chest.
Yep.
But the captain's chest is like the top tier of what you're mostly going to come across in your missions.
Yeah.
And it's, I feel like they've tweaked it a little bit to become more common than it was, or they've definitely made some tweaks under the hood to the economy.
Maybe I still come across so many goddamn Castaway and Seafarer's chests.
Oh,
It's-
Castaway chest, that's, did I
Yeah,
say
Castaway is the first one, I believe.
Okay.
And then it's Seafarer's. Like, there's so many times.
Did I say shipwreck chest?
Yeah, that's okay.
It's all good.
It's a chest.
And then there's also a spooky chest that you can get every now and then. It doesn't appear to give you any more gold, which doesn't make any sense to me or do anything cool. It's like, I forget
now
what
you're
it's
haunted.
called. Yeah, but it's like a spooky chest. And I'm like, oh, and I got so excited the first time. I was like, that was underwhelming. But yeah, every time you hit one of those, you just thunk, and you get that moment of like, oh, what's it gonna be? And then you see that like grayish brown pop out of the ground. And you're like, well, that fuck,
Like, you
waste
know what,
of time.
at this point, why even finish digging it up?
Yeah, the other day I lined a bunch. I had an island that had like 6 or 5 or something treasures, and I dug them all up, and like almost all of them were like seafarers and castaways, and my wife wanted to go to lunch, and I was just like, all right. And so I just lined them along a beach. I'm like, maybe that'll make someone's day. And then I logged out.
It does seem like
Too bad
if
you can't leave a message in rocks.
I would love that. You could leave your own message in a bottle. That would
right.
be great.
It does seem like if you're gonna level up to 30 or something, they should be sending you after better chests.
Totally.
That's if you can't get progression in terms of power, that's what you can get progression in is, oh wow, now I can earn this next tier up of badass stuff.
Yeah.
Other great achievements that you're really gonna enjoy. Deliver 1,000 banana crates.
Yeah, there's no way in hell. There's no way. Like, if someone does
That's
that,
so.
like, oh my god.
Those achievements are so repetitive. Like you're building your achievement system off of just boring repetition.
Turn in 1,000 villainous skulls.
Did they just like turn in 1,000 of everything? Is that an achievement?
No, the one for defeating skeleton captains is only 700.
Okay.
It's like I think they expected people to be way more into
Well, what else are they gonna
just
do?
the grind.
I love carrying crates of bananas around. It's my favorite thing. I'm gonna turn in 1,000.
So here's
can't even get 'em. You have
some other fun ones that Ben just sent over. There is one for selling 1,000 shipwrecked chests, or so they do have some value. I
Okay.
guess you can get 15 gamer score for it. They've got one for sailing 1,000 nautical miles on Merchant Alliance voyages, or Order of Souls voyages, or whatever. So the achievements are kind of crazy.
Yeah. It's stuff like this is why I don't care about 100%ing a game.
It's been a while. I always look at.
It has
I
not
always
been a
look
while.
at them and
You
try to.
100%ed Final Fantasy X. It's like 2 weeks ago.
And you just started talking about how you're gonna do it.
Look, I don't need this.
too.
I don't need this from you guys. I do like to look at games before I decide if I'm going to go for it or not. I really should have checked the Final Fantasy X one a little bit closer, but It's been a while since I did it for gamer score and not for the individual achievements. Like sometimes I'll like to 100% something if it's a game that I know that I'm super crazy into.
Yeah.
But I've made a post Final Fantasy X resolution to be a bit more sensible about it. And Final Fantasy X is the first thing that I've 100%ed in a while.
Yeah.
A long.
I've only ever 100%ed one game. You could probably guess which one it is, so I won't even say it.
Tell us what it is.
Dark
What is
Souls.
it? Oh, what? That's a huge surprise. But you know what? I'm really happy that you're having fun with Sea of Thieves.
Yeah,
If you
man, that's
please
great.
adopt Bernie, I think he needs a good crew because I've abandoned him, Teddy has abandoned him, and JT has abandoned
that's
him.
sad.
And so now he plays on a sloop by himself or with randoms.
Yeah, I can show him a good time.
Take him in.
I will. It'll be great.
Okay, thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you. But we've also been playing. Adam and I played some Yakuza 6.
I also
we
played
got
The Witcher.
Oh, The Witcher. Oh my
as
God.
Well, it was good.
Tell us. Okay,
I saw
I saw
you
your
weren't, you
tweets.
weren't here last week.
I was not.
But on
We've
2
covered
weeks
that.
ago, I said I have a hit list. It is Horizon, The Witcher, Persona 5. So I made a tweet and I was like, what should I play? And Witcher came out on top. So I started playing The Witcher. As I mentioned last week, I was 60 hours in. I decided that I needed to restart the game just to catch up to where I was in the story. Then I would go back to my previous save.
Sure.
Took me about 20 hours to do that. First time around 60 hours, second time around 20 hours because I was just doing the story for the most part. So I caught up, went back to my save, and took me another 30-ish hours, maybe 35 hours to complete. I completed the main story of The Witcher 3. The first area, like Novigrad / Velen, that whole side of the map, I did the majority of the question marks and the side quests over there. In Skellige, when I was doing the story, I felt like I didn't want to, in The Witcher, to find a lot of the side quests, you need to just physically walk around. Like you need to run into people that will have exclamation points that you can then follow on their side quests. And I will go back and do some of that stuff, but for the most part, I didn't, for the second half of the game, I didn't do as many side quests. I still did a lot of them. But I finished the game and I'm super, super happy I did because the story is like, it's awesome. And there's multiple endings and I was worried about which ending I would get, but I just played it by ear and ended up getting a fantastic ending. I don't know how it is in the context of everything else, but loved it.
It was fantastic for you. That's all that
Yes,
matters.
it made me really, really happy. And I started on the DLC. And there's 2 DLCs, Hearts of Stone and then Blood and Wine. Everyone says Blood and Wine is like a life-changing, best DLC experience ever. I'm not going to play that one yet. I'm going to play Hearts of Stone first, and then I'm going to go to that one. And I'm playing Hearts of Stone, and I'm already blown away by the story. The writing in those games is so good. I'm so invested in The Witcher right now, dude. I'm almost on the first book. I'm going to move on to the second one, and then the rest of them probably as well. I love the world of The Witcher, man.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I went back to it, even though it's a huge game and there's a ton to do, but man, I spend a few hours every day just like walking around hearing stories, fighting monsters.
Having spent more time with the game and with the books, do you have any thoughts or wish list or some things that you need out of the Netflix series they're working on? We know that Andrzej Sapkowski is he's working with Netflix, and also CD Projekt Red is, although it's not based on the games, it's based on the books.
Okay.
I mean, so
I still think Mads Mikkelsen
yeah, he'd be a good Witcher.
Oh, it'd be awesome.
or Jamie Lannister, Schmorgan Heckengard.
I'm not really sure what I want out of the series, other than I don't know if I want like a huge overarching story, or if I want something that's a little more piecemeal. Like in the first book, it is all like one or so hour short stories, and it fits The Witcher really well because like if you play the game and you do a side quest, it's like it's like kind of like a short story.
Right.
And in the books, it is that way. But the stories do give you context to larger events in the universe of The Witcher. Like for example, in the first book, you don't really know it, but you find the origin of Ciri and like how Ciri became to be under it become Geralt's ward. And last week I said Ciri was Geralt's daughter. to be fair, in a quest, the lady says, "Are you looking for a loved one?" He's like, "Daughter, actually." So you know what? He does claim she's her daughter because it's basically his adopted daughter. Anyways,
So take that.
I would like
Internet.
I would like short stories, but maybe ones that also lead into an overarching story. But I have a feeling it's going to be like one long narrative, which is fine too.
Well, I also
And there's some things I don't know if they touch on in the books as much, but in the game, there are places they go that they didn't expand on, and I watched No Clip's documentary, and there were things that like the quest designer said, like, we were going to expand these things and make the areas larger, but they just didn't have time. And I hope in the show they go more into it, because there's some really cool places that game goes. So
My thing with The Witcher is that like everyone always heard how good that series is, even before 3 came out, you know? And I'm like, so when 3 was coming out, I was like, I did the same thing. I'm like, I'm gonna do that, but I hate jumping into like the middle of something. Like I'm one of those people that I'm like, no, I have to start from the beginning. So I picked up the like remastered editions on Steam or whatever, and so I started grinding through the first game, right? And it was good. Like it was enjoyable. I was probably halfway through, maybe. And I'm really bad about side quests too, because I like to, I'm like, ooh, shiny new thing to explore. I want to know what that's
I
about.
want to get the value out of my game.
Yeah. So it was taking a while, and then finally Sam convinced me. He was like, dude, you don't need to play like the first game. Like the second game was alright too, but like you just need, he's like, you can go right into the third. It'll be fine. You'll enjoy it. And so I was like, all right. So I installed it and I started playing it and I defeated the dogs, right? Which is like one of the first bosses, right? And then I was just like, okay, I'm enjoying the game. This is gonna be cool. And I haven't picked it up since.
Wow.
Some other stuff came
Something
up,
broke
and then
inside
like
you.
I got kids, and you know, like
it is like an expensive game, and I don't know, man. I don't think you definitely don't have to play the previous 2 games. I started with 2.
Okay.
Before 2 came out, I had always wanted to play 1, but I was younger. I didn't have a computer or whatever, and I tried to play 1. I just couldn't do it. But I played 2, and I loved it. But playing 3, I will say that like they give you a lot of context to the story, and sometimes maybe not enough. Specifically, like the game is about the Wild Hunt, and you kind of have to go searching for books or just like side things that will maybe explain a little more. Like you know that the Wild Hunt is this like super big bad that like is beyond anything that you can imagine. They're terrible, but you learn more about them as the story goes on, but you maybe don't get as much context as you need if you. And I don't know if the Wild Hunt is even in the first game. Probably not, but it's definitely somewhere in the books, I think.
Okay.
It just doesn't. They don't quite give you enough context there, but man, it does wrap up real nicely. My dad told me that he watched me talk about The Witcher last week, and he's like,
Your dad watches?
"Yeah, he's really nice."
That's lovely.
Hey, Dad.
Hi.
It was like, do you think The Witcher is something I can get into, or is it too complicated? And I was like, I'm buying you The Witcher. I'm sending you a controller. So I bought him because Witcher was on Steam sale for like $20 for everything. So I sent him that. I sent him a wired controller, and I was like, listen, take it slow, put it on easy, read all the tutorials, and I think you can get into it, because he loves just fantasy narrative and things like that. I got him to play WoW one day, and he sat down in front of his computer and didn't move for like 9 hours. And then he was like, all right, I can't do this anymore because I have a life. But now he's retired, so you can do whatever you want. So
No life to interrupt.
Yeah.
Man, I want to be retired.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Would you love being retired and having all that time to play games and watch stuff and
I think I
read
need
stuff, or
some
would you
sort
be
of
like
crazy.
bored out of your skull?
I think I need like maybe 1 or 2 days a week where I would still like be obligated for something.
Well, for me, like I have way too many hobbies. Like, so it would be
Yeah.
great. Like, I could definitely keep myself busy. 'Cause,
Yeah.
Like, I play guitar, I sing, I work around electronics, like building custom arcade sticks, like, and things like that. I absolutely, like, if I just had like freedom of time, like I would just make stuff and do cool things and play games a lot of games.
A lot of games. Yeah, since I started playing The Witcher, I decided I need a staycation so I can like just sit down and play it, but I haven't had time. But I might still for Blood and Wine. There's one more thing I found out about.
What?
After talking about The Witcher last week, someone tweeted me, and they linked me to something called Witcher School. and Witcher School.
Oh no.
Is this
Dude.
real life?
I've heard about this. I've heard about this.
It's in Poland, and it is a live action roleplay group, a LARP group.
Yep.
It's a LARP event, I would call it, more than a group. But it's set in a castle, an actual Polish castle. Polish castle. I can say that.
You did it.
And you basically go with a group of Witcher role players, and you take on the role of a new Witcher. And you spend 3 days in a castle, fully role-playing the experience, learning sword fighting, learning archery, drinking, being in like a medieval fun setting, and oh my God, do I want to do this?
That sounds amazing.
That is like, I told the people to like, let me know when the next event is, because I was looking on their site and it's a little bit confusing, but it sounds like there's going to be a couple over the next year or so. And I'm very strongly considering going to this. It looks awesome.
Hit up live action. And convince him to do a doc.
Hit up the lab.
And then
Look how
Okay.
fucking awesome this is. Look at the setting. Like, man, I was looking at the gallery for this. The photos are so great. Look at all this, man.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, see if you can get a doc out of this, then the company will pay for it.
Right? God, it looks so awesome.
What about how about send this to Pitch Fest? Say
All right,
we should
I'll
do
send it
we
to
should
Pitch Fest.
we should
Yeah.
do stuff
All right,
around like
yeah,
it's content.
dude.
Yeah.
Man,
That'd be great.
That'd be fun. But yeah, so I'm so glad I went back to The Witcher. This has been, I can't believe I took a break, but I'm happy I'm back. Yeah, fantastic. And that looks fucking awesome.
And now you're planning your next vacation.
Yeah,
because of it.
I'm gonna go Poland.
Come on though, like any vacation where you can go stay in a castle sounds pretty dope.
Seriously.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, I still need to bring in my chainmail to show you.
Yeah, you do.
We've been talking about because he wants to work on a chainmail project.
Okay.
And I've got my little chainmail kit at home.
Yeah.
I've got all my different size rings. Like for this kind of project, you might want this kind of ring.
Okay.
For this kind of project, what about this? I'll bring it in tomorrow. How
Cool.
about that?
That sounds good.
Oh man.
So yeah, that's what I've been playing.
Where's my phone? Hey Siri. Thank you. Oh, it's been there the whole time.
Where are you?
Hey Siri. Remind me at 5 p.m. to put chainmail stuff in the car.
That may be the first time Siri heard that request.
The car to your reminders for today at 5 p.m.
Hashtag not an ad.
What accent is that?
Oh, it's British. The
British female?
it's a British lady. They updated the voice, and the American one sounds too chipper, and I can't deal with her in the morning.
Wait, they changed the Siri voice?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, so it's she's just like very like upbeat and positive, and sometimes I'm like, I need you to chill out a little bit. So I switched to the British.
Is it a
one.
different voice actress? I guess it's, I don't know. Is it a voice actress? Is that?
Yeah.
Or did they build
I think someone does.
Well, I mean,
voices,
it is
right?
it is a person. I remember because she wasn't allowed to say it was her, and then there was like a big controversy.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that is considered voice acting or if that's considered like.
I consider that voice acting. Sure, you're doing a vocal performance.
Then you never know, because
then-
like they've got things like Hatsune Miku, who that's entirely synthetic.
Well, Siri is not. Siri's real.
You know, I don't know. They might use voice samples as well to then generate a vocal pattern.
Right.
That's things that we can do now because we live in the future.
That's definitely what's happening. But I don't know. Whatever. Anyways, moving on.
Speaking of Hatsune Miku, I went to a Hatsune Miku concert one time. Because,
Okay, tell me more.
Because Funimation invited me. They were
they
doing
do
one
the
in
leak
Dallas.
dance?
What?
They do the leak dance.
So,
So.
yeah, it's okay. It was a very interesting experience because like my concert going experience my whole life was like I would go to like a punk show, right? Or
And
like,
for those who don't know what Hatsune Miku is,
she is a digital idol in Japan. So she is a hologram that they bring out on stage in this big hologram panel, and then she performs all these songs that are 100% vocally synthetic. And so everybody loses their mind for it. She's super cute, right? And it's this cool attraction to see holograms dancing around on stage, right? So,
sure.
So we go to the concert, and everyone had glow sticks. And when the music was going, every single person was doing this in time. And like I was up in this box, and so I was looking down, and it was this really interesting, like almost culty thing going on. Everybody's like perfectly in time with their glow sticks. And my favorite part is when a song was done, instead of like.
So here we go.
Yeah, so that's how they cheer. So whenever when the song was done, then everyone wiggles, right? Anyway, but so it was cool to see this experience. Something I never probably would have gone out and sought out on my own. But I was really glad that I had the opportunity to, do this experience and watch this. But I'll tell you, when everyone lost their fucking mind, like everyone's already enjoying, like, when she came out and all this stuff. But then she has a moment where she like stops. She goes, "Hello, Dallas," and like everyone was like, "Yes!" Like they lost their
She knows
shit.
where we
She
are.
knows where we are. Like. It was wild, but yeah, thanks to Funimation for bringing me onto that. If you get the opportunity, you should go see it. It's definitely, it's much different from my standard concert experience.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll get digital punk bands anytime soon?
I doubt it, but who knows? I mean, we'll see. Because it must be a pain in the ass to like bring all this stuff around. I mean, I guess they always have to bring equipment, but like they're bringing, stuff to. They have sort of a band, kind of.
I saw the guitar player. I see drums. See a keyboard.
Yeah, and a lot of times they do shows with. So this is one of the other ones. She has like a whole little group of idols now. Yeah, they bring out this huge like hologram screen, and like that's got to be crazy to do.
Yeah, maybe they just roll it up at the end of the show.
Pretty awesome.
Stick it in a truck.
There they are. They're all doing it.
Yeah, all perfectly in time.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous, but it's great.
Yeah.
Speaking of crazy Japanese stuff,
Good segue.
we've been playing lots of Yakuza. So let's talk about that for a minute.
Let's talk about it.
Okay, so
That's
they're our favorite
called
glitches.
floor knife fighting. You go on the floor.
So have you ever played a Yakuza game?
The Yakuza games, no. I played like Grand Theft Autos back in the day, but never did Yakuza.
Right.
They're
So
super.
I'd never played one before. You'd never played one before.
Nope.
And we decided to play 6.
Okay.
So it's coming out next week. So we talked to Sega and we're like, we'd like to get some copies, please. And they were like, here you go, have fun. Like there was like no embargoes, no restrictions, just try not to spoil everyone and have a great time.
Oh, that's nice.
And so they were really lovely and gracious about it. So we've been playing through it, and this was a very new experience for me because I didn't know much about the franchise. I think the majority of what I'd seen involved the main character, Kiryu, looking very stern.
Yeah, he looks angry all the time.
He does, but he does it good.
Yeah,
He fights good, so he backs it up.
Yeah, he's a
and
good puncher.
it plays out like it's open world-ish in that like there are these zones, and it's urban. So if you want to think of like when you like plonk down in GTA and you feel like, oh my God, I'm in the city.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like that, except it's a neighborhood of Tokyo. There's no cars, there's no guns.
It's a couple blocks.
That urban like exploration, and it reflects the city.
It's small. It's like you're not in a big. You think GTA, big expansive world, gonna go punch random strangers. This is more just like in a city, small. Little teeny town.
It's in like
and you're
this
walking
neighborhood
around
of
doing
Kamurocho.
quests and punching thugs. There are thugs in
Lots
groups.
of thugs.
This is
And they
not
don't
like
stand a chance.
real Japan.
They're babies.
But they chase you. They chase you. Then you have to punch them.
Okay.
And you find a baby and you decide I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take the baby. I don't
Well,
know-
look, you don't just like find a baby
steal
on a
babies?
street
Well,
corner.
you kind of just find a baby and you decide I don't know whose baby this is. I better be the one to take it.
Look, okay, you are misrepresenting this grossly.
little
Okay,
bit.
so here's what happens. So in the last 5 games, this main character, Kazuma Kiryu, he's gone through he's basically like a rock star of the Yakuza, but he's decided that he wants out of that life, and he goes to prison for 3 years. Basically does his time so that he can get out and go to the orphanage that he manages and take care of those kids with his adopted daughter, Haruka.
Okay.
And then he gets out of prison. It turns out Haruka's been missing for 3 years, and she just turned up because she got hit by a car. And so she's in a coma in the hospital, and she has a baby.
I just want you to know, this sounds like a soap opera.
And that
It's basically like a Japanese mafia soap opera, but it's great. It's a lot of fun.
that setup, that 45 seconds that she just explained to you in the game takes 40 minutes. 40 minutes. You open the game and you watch 40, I'm not exaggerating, 40 minutes of cutscene. 40.
That's
And you
crazy.
play for maybe 20 seconds, 30 seconds, okay, maybe a minute throughout that 40, so you get 39 minutes of cutscene, 1 minute of gameplay.
I don't think Adam has a lot of tolerance for cutscenes.
I super do, because I love Metal Gear Solid 4, but man, it just was so slow. God damn, it's slow paced.
Anyway.
and convoluted.
Did you tune out?
but
Is that
that-
why you
so-
thought he stole the baby?
So people are mad at me because I'm not a fan of Yakuza and I'm playing the games. Listen, it's important. I wanted to try it. It's not my fault I don't like it. It might be a good game for some people, just not for me.
No, it's absolutely a good game for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I think. It's just that not every game appeals to every person. Otherwise,
Exactly.
we would all buy the exact same stuff. Yeah. But in that 40 minutes, it also does take you through, like you encounter characters from earlier in the series as well, and it tries to explain to you who they are.
You should see, sorry, Adam's eyes narrowing every time he starts describing. He's like, don't believe her. It's bullshit.
Don't believe the lies. No. Listen, there is a story there for people that like that story. I just didn't like the story, so it's making me relive it.
But you don't just take this baby. You figure out this is her baby, and Child Protective Services is going to take it away and just like put it in an orphanage, and then you feel like then Kiryu's like, I can't do anything to help this baby if that happens. So he takes the baby and he's going to go find the father.
Yeah, they decide that the next Yakuza member, best person to take care of this baby.
I mean,
Parts of the game, you're walking around with a baby, and then when people want to fight
It's
you,
great.
and then when people
It's
want to fight
amazing.
you take the baby and you hand it to someone. You're like,
You just-
all right, stay there, baby.
you do.
I'm gonna punch these people.
You hand it to a bystander and you're like, here, hold him for a second, and then you lay the smack down, and then you take the baby back, and then you continue walking around town.
Who would do that?
It's
Oh, my
fantastic.
baby, I need to kick some ass. And then he's just like, you imagine being that person? Like, surely one of them's got to be like, I need to go find the police.
Like anytime you get in a fight, there are bystanders basically around the fight zone, just like watching and spectating. Look, if there's a fight, people watch. If there's a fight, I'm gonna go towards and be like, what's going on? Is someone getting hurt? That's just human nature. So someone among all those people is gonna be happy to stop clapping and going, yay, and hold a baby for a couple seconds.
So you guys know when a fight's gonna go down because somebody's like, here, hold my jacket or hold my beer or whatever. That's his now.
Here,
Telltale. He's
hold
like,
my baby.
hold my baby. And somebody's like, oh, shit.
I will say
Hold my
that-
baby, I'm going in.
That part of the game is super slow because you can't run while you hold a baby. Apparently, so you just walk like this.
No, you
No,
can run.
for-
You can absolutely run.
Well, can you?
I was running all over the
I
place
was
with that
super
baby.
trying to run with that baby, and it was not working.
It totally works.
All right, maybe
Listen,
I'm wrong.
when you guys said we were going to talk about Yakuza, never in a million years did I think that this was going to be our conversation about the baby mechanics.
See, that's the crazy thing about it is based on what I'd seen, it seemed like this very serious, and the story treatment itself is pretty serious,
Yeah.
but the gameplay is much lighter, and there's all these bizarro side quests that you can do
you just play
that
as
are
the
a very
baby?
different tone. No, but there is a mini game where the baby starts crying and you have to soothe it.
Oh, that's so fucking
Like,
annoying.
do you want to rock the baby? Does the baby want to be rocked? Does it want to
hell
be
no.
like? Does it want to be like upsy daisied? Like,
So you can shake it?
I don't.
hey,
I wasn't picking up on the cues for what the baby fucking wanted. So I was just trying everything. I was shaking the fucking baby, and it wasn't
Oh. You do
working. And you have to do it with the controller.
So you either move the controller side to side or up and down, or you like flick the sticks. I
have enough of that shit at home. There's
I
no
just
way.
waited. No, you'd be really good at it.
But it's like
I
you're-
just
you're
waited
walking-
until he goes, I don't know. He goes, I don't know what he wants. And you wait for a couple more seconds, and it goes, does he want me to lift him up? And then you go, and then you lift him up.
I was just persistently trying things until they worked. See, like the thing about it is like you don't like this is just you're walking to like get a quest done and like you stop like every I don't know like 30 seconds to soothe this fucking baby because he won't stop. He's so needy.
That's because
I
he's
chose
hungry.
not to have
You're
kids.
walking around trying to find the baby some milk because the baby's hungry. Of course he's going to be upset.
Everyone's turning you down for milk. Where did you end up going for milk? It wasn't the
You
pharmacy.
end up getting milk from the
Was it a
barber
bar?
because they recently got a
barber.
baby.
Yeah, you go to the barber. The pharmacy doesn't have milk.
The barber's family recently had a baby, so they might have milk because you're in an area. It's like a red light area of town. There's not a lot of late night places that are selling baby milk.
Yeah, you get-
Adam.
get-
Well, maybe
Get
the
some-
right red light
some milk
places.
and a shave. Anyways, that game's all right. It's just like if you don't like the story, the game is so much story. It wasn't the story for me.
To be fair, it might also it's important to make the accommodation that we're starting on these. This isn't even the 6th entry. This is actually the 7th entry because there's Yakuza 0.
Absolutely.
And there's something like 13 total games across the series, and so we're coming into it very, very late.
Totally.
And I think that the game does a good job of trying to like catch you up and introducing you to like what the different characters mean.
Right.
Like you run into this this dude who has been in the previous games, and you're like, They explain to you who he is, what the relationship is, and at first they're laying a lot of those on you, so it can be tough to absorb, especially if
39
you're
minutes
not
of it.
Well,
great
that's-
with Japanese names, and you're like,
Okay.
but eventually you remember the faces, and you're like, that guy, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a lot of characters to keep track of, and totally, I'm not as invested as someone who's played the last 12 Yakuza games, but I'm just trying to see what it's like to jump in, and it was tough, but there was some redeeming qualities, like you can really break people's nuts. You can really break
Yeah?
it. You pick people up, and if there's a telephone pole there, you go, ah! And you just want to slam their nuts into the
It's
telephone pole.
pretty cool. So it's a brawler, right? And so it's mostly like punching and kicking. But as you go through and you're fighting, you build up this heat meter, and then you can basically switch into super mode. It's extreme heat mode.
Okay.
Or you can just do specific actions, and they're all context dependent. So if you are next to a car and you punch a guy and you hit the right button, then it does this really cool thing where you smash him basically into the hood of the car.
Nice.
And it's just this badass super move that will probably kill the dude. I mean, knock him out. Just knock him out.
Or light
non-lethal.
light pull to the nuts.
Yeah,
Yes,
you
light pull to the nuts.
break
Or
their nuts.
there's one where sometimes you're fighting with allies, and you can do a move where like you pick a dude up and like chuck him on the ground, and your ally will pick a dude up and like chuck him down on top of him, and you make a people stack.
At any point, do you use the baby for combat?
No.
Damn.
Unfortunately.
Well, no.
No, you just like toss the baby at somebody. You know they're gonna catch it, then just hit them in the face and take the baby back. So-
But
It's a
there's
game.
it's fun. It's not for everyone. But I'm really happy that I played it because it's a cool entry to the series, and I'm probably gonna go back and play some of the others. There's Yakuza Kiwami came out, and there's Yakuza 0, and so you can start to like piece together the story because I really like the character, and it's a bummer to some degree because this is actually Kiryu's last game. Like they've stuck through with this character through the series up to this point, and now they're sunsetting him. I don't know what they're gonna do now, but I like seeing his story from at this point so much. I kind of want to go back and see all the other stuff.
Okay.
So I'm curious if this will help introduce more people to the series. They've certainly done what they can to make it accessible, considering it is, basically like the end of his story.
Yeah.
So
But it's the song of life.
it's a song of life. So I don't know. I liked it. It's not the kind of game that I feel like you need to play this like right now, or you're gonna miss out on this cultural event. But it is a game that I think is worth playing. If you're okay with cutscenes.
I am okay. It's if you enjoy the content of the cutscenes, not necessarily the cutscenes themselves.
They're very talky and they're in Japanese.
Okay.
It's subtitled.
I mean, listen, I love Metal Gear Solid 4. That game starts with an hour and a half.
That's pretty much a movie, yeah.
Or that game ends with an hour and a half cutscene. Holy shit, that game has long cutscenes. But it's important to the story of Metal Gear. But that's the thing, is like,
these are important to the story of Yakuza.
That's what I'm saying. I'm invested in Metal Gear, not invested in Yakuza. It's different things, different strokes for different folks, people.
Also learned a lot of things. Like I am terrible at pronouncing anything Japanese. Like I've always called it Yakuza,
It's
but they were
Yakuza.
pronouncing it like Yakuza.
Yakuza.
And I was like, so now I'm really paranoid about how I pronounce it because I want to pronounce it correctly, but I'm terrible at it.
But it's fine. It's fine to have an English pronunciation of something. It's not like anyone's gonna fault you for that.
Yeah, but it's not the pronunciation
But
of
that's the
thing.
Japanese pronunciation of it. Like there's tolerance, man.
Well, yeah, I can understand, like, because I try to, like, I'm a huge fan of Japanese culture, and so, like, that's one of my goals is to be fluent in Japanese. I've, like, started, like, doing some of that, and so, like, I try and use, like, if it's, like, a very clearly, Japanese word, I'll say it the way it should be said in Japanese, right? But if it's a word that's become so Americanized, I don't say it because then I sound like a pretentious ass.
Right.
Like, for example, anime, right? Like,
It's not anime.
I can't stand it when people are like anime, right? Which is how they would say it in Japan.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not gonna do that because you just sound like one of those. I'm not gonna be one of those people.
I get you. I mean, maybe if you're in Japan, and you're like speaking Japanese or talking to Japanese people, maybe you want to accommodate them. Never mind. Why are we on this tangent?
All right, fine. We'll move off the tangent. But regardless,
Yeah.
baby. Cute baby, man. It's a cute baby.
that you can shake.
All right, so instead let's talk about some news.
Yeah, what's
A couple things been going on this week of interest. One, I think that's a major one that more people should know about. The FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, has sent out some warning letters to a couple of companies, including video game console makers, about their warranty stickers. You know, when you get like a console or something, this is very applicable to Nintendo right now in particular because of the issue they had with third-party docks bricking consoles. You've heard about that, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Scary stuff. Terrifying. I can't imagine losing my saves. Now I'm just like...
Yeah, and you're a save hoarder.
I am a save hoarder. I'm just gonna stack those saves all day long. But this has been just very, very recently an increasing problem for Nintendo, but for just video game console makers in particular, or just in general. They a lot of times on the console will have some sort of sticker telling you that if you open the console, if you do anything to it, it voids the warranty.
Yep.
The FTC has sent out a warning letter saying you can't do that. That's
Really?
not legal. So I'm going to look up the exact quote here from the FTC. But they've been given 30 days basically to update their policies to comply with regulations.
Have you ever removed a warranty sticker?
Oh yeah.
Like what's
So I used to I got really into like I told you like electronics is like one of my hobbies. So I got really into like customizing Xboxes and then
Did you do customized controllers? That's what I started doing.
So my very first thing I ever did for like altering or modding a video game thing was a Nintendo 64. I took a gray controller and a yellow controller and I took them apart and I combined them. So there's a gray top, yellow bottom, and a yellow top, gray bottom. Those
Nice.
Yeah, that was my first one.
You know, on Amazon, I've seen it's really easy to buy kits to customize Nintendo Joy-Cons for the Switch.
Yep.
I actually, I ended up buying these really sweet custom Joy-Cons.
God, I'm so
that are
jealous
amazing.
of you. So I've said this so many times. They're so nice.
They're so
SNES,
nice.
They're SNES Joy-Cons.
Yeah, they're SNES
Oh,
Joy-Cons.
those look so cool. Oh, Michael got some of those. He has like a whole.
Yes.
Oh God, I'm so jealous of it.
They're really great. They're expensive.
Yeah.
But they're really cool. But I also bought from Amazon a kit to customize some Joy-Cons for the Office Switch. I just haven't done it yet.
Okay.
Because I've never really modded hardware. And
What does the kit contain?
just the outside.
shell, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just the shell.
Oh,
You
okay.
basically just like take the shell off.
So it's not a
put another
skin,
shell
it's an actual hard shell.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Interesting.
There was, when the Switch came out, remember there were a lot of stickers and things that came out, and then it turned out they were like eating the rubber
Yeah, which is cool.
or
I
something.
never did that anyway. I don't want to put stickers on my console.
No, they don't look quite right.
Yeah.
But a full-on shell, that's different. And that's a one example of a mod that would theoretically void warranties.
Yep.
But turns out that's not supposed to be the case.
That's really interesting.
So here's what the FTC said. They said provisions that tie warranty coverage to the use of particular products or services harm both consumers who pay more for them, as well as the small businesses who offer competing products and services. So basically saying that it violates what's called the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act, is misleading and needs to be updated or else.
Man,
So here's the question.
Okay, go ahead.
Should that void the warranty or not?
Right, and that's kind of where I'm at, because like I can see why they're saying that, but at the same time, the reason they do that is to keep you from fucking with their product. Like I'm thinking of it from like a repair standpoint. One of the worst things in the world is like if somebody has something that's broken, like for example, when I was working on Xbox and stuff, if somebody brought me just like, hey, my Xbox stopped working, that is way easier to then troubleshoot the problem from the beginning, right? But if somebody would bring me something and it was like, hey, this stopped working, I tried to fix it, then it's like, oh Jesus, like, because you don't even know, like,
Then you don't know
what's been done, or
what was initially broken and what has been broken as a result of the fixing.
Right, and so that's why they do that. They don't want you to screw with it, because then if you send it back in, you could have caused the problem yourself.
Totally.
They know that if you didn't go in there, it's probably, and it's a hardware failure, it's going to be on them.
Right.
But so I don't know. That's tricky.
Yeah, like on the one hand, I can see why not being able to use a service would be a nice option. To be able to take it in somewhere locally instead of like, oh, great, now they send you the box and you have to send it back and they may or may not be able to save your stuff. You're not going to know until you get it back and maybe everything's wiped.
Yep.
Or you can take it in locally and talk to someone, which is always nice, and be like, hey, I have questions about this whole thing. How is this going to work? And have them fix it. And that seems to be largely what the FTC is focusing on, is that small businesses should be able to do repairs. And without voiding the warranty. I don't know if they need to get like certifications from the manufacturer or if they should need to get certifications.
That's crazy. So normally how that would work is they do void the manufacturer's warranty when they go in there and repair it, but they should then issue their own warranty.
The local
But
repair
it's only on
option.
their work though. It doesn't include the rest of the box.
That's true.
But do things like I've never upgraded like my PS4 hard drive. I don't think the PS4, but like does the Xbox One? Do you have to break a sticker to get in there to upgrade the hard drive?
I don't know. I just plugged one in.
Yeah, but I'm saying like you can upgrade like the internal hard drives for. I know that at least the PS4. I assume.
Yeah, although I think anything at the moment, the way it's been, anything you do to open it up and change anything voids their warranty.
Interesting, because that's kind of a man. The PS4 it needs that, especially in the older models. But yeah, it's tough. I get it. Like I wouldn't like if I was the person fixing all these things, I wouldn't want to like figure out what someone else did to fuck up the machine. You know, just be like, oh, it's this common problem. No, it's like why are there screws loose? Like what's going on?
Yeah, although on the flip side of things, it also seems like a lot of times the manufacturers, they have those warranties in place because they want to scare people to not look inside the box. They don't want you looking, they don't want you touching, they don't want you knowing how their stuff works. And so sometimes it seems like on manufacturers' part, it isn't always about the integrity of the repair.
Yeah.
It can also be about their trade secrets, essentially, what they consider. No, they can only be so secret if there are millions of them in people's houses.
Right.
Yeah. Someone's going to figure out how they work.
Yeah.
But or they're trying to fight off, mod communities or homebrew, that kind of thing. Even though sometimes homebrew is very, very helpful. In fact, Ben just sent a reminder over. Recently, you know how Nintendo doesn't have cloud saves on the Switch, which has become an additional pain point, that it doesn't have cloud saves and you can't transfer saves off anywhere because, well,
Nintendo.
people's consoles are getting bricked. But hackers recently been able to get it running, to be able to back up saves.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Mind you, do that, probably going to avoid your warranty. Although maybe not now.
It depends. I wonder, can they do it with an external drive?
I don't know the details, but it's software he's planning on releasing to GitHub later.
That's great.
Gotcha.
So people can, if Nintendo won't do it, people can. Although I think that I would very much hope that if Nintendo wants to start charging for their online service later this year, at the very, very least, it should be in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Man, I'm so curious to
PSN
see what their offerings are when they start charging for that.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, PSN, you have to have PlayStation Plus to cloud save, don't you?
I believe so with Cloud Save. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's the reason I upgraded
is,
to PlayStation Plus.
Yeah. Well, and they changed it. You need PlayStation Plus to play most games online too now.
Yeah.
That was
that was with this generation.
Yep.
Right.
I'm honestly glad they did it because I feel they got a much better product out of it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that the way they had it previously was like, it's like
That's pretty janky.
It's like, but it's free.
Yeah.
But now between the offering the games for free as long as you're a subscriber and having the additional services, it's very much improved the service.
It also got rid of those people. Do you remember like those people in the like 360 PS3 era who were always like, like, you pay to play online, because you're playing on Xbox. It's like, dude, come on. Like,
Well, now you just get that from PC people.
that's true.
So elsewhere in news, so GTA 4. This is an old game at this point. It's coming up on 10 years here. But apparently some of their music licenses are expiring.
Oh no.
For one of the radio stations in particular, Vladivostok FM. So Rockstar is going to be patching a bunch of music out of the game.
Oh no.
Oh, they're not going back to try and reacquire the licenses, or I guess it failed.
They're going to replace some of the music with other music, but and maybe they've renewed some licenses, but couldn't get these ones. So they're going to patch music out. They haven't issued a list of here's the music that's going to be removed. And it's not like this was the first time music licenses have affected games. Alan Wake, they ended up delisting because some of their music licenses expired. And I guess instead of replacing the music, they just delisted the game.
That's crazy.
Now, here's what's...
How many games is this? This must happen in a lot of games.
Why don't you get perpetual licenses?
It happens to games themselves sometimes. Was it a Deadpool game? I think
Deadpool was the one that left
pulled-
and came back and then came back and then
Yeah,
left
it
again.
got delisted from stores because their license to use the IP expired.
Yeah.
So they could no longer sell the game. That kind of thing is crazy to me.
Yeah,
So, like when EA or when the Star Wars license expires for EA, like are you not going to be able to buy Battlefront anymore in 10 years or whatever it is?
I'm sure EA has negotiated that solidly.
Yeah. Okay.
But
yeah.
Hopefully.
it's kind of weird regardless. I guess where I get a bit of a chip on my shoulder about it, admittedly, because it's not like I play a ton of GTA 4 right now. It's more of a principle thing. Is that let's say you bought this game 8 years ago, with these music licenses intact. Should they be changing the product that you paid for
well, right.
by patching the music out? All this time later, it seems like they just shouldn't be able to sell new versions of the game with that in it.
I think it just comes down to the fact that they had a really shitty agreement. Like that, this situation should not be arising. Like,
Yeah. Especially with something like Rockstar.
yeah, that signifies to me the mentality of them being like, fuck, this is still going in 10 years. Who gives a shit? Like, and it is, and it's still immensely popular. And now that's coming back. They should it was cheaper to do it. I'm sure it was. It was cheaper to do a 10-year license than it was for to have it in perpetuity in the game.
That actually happened with Super Meat Boy as well.
Oh, did it?
Originally, when the game released, I think it was on 360 and PC back in 2010. The original composer had his agreement with the team on what it was going to be used for, and when they redid it for PS4, Vita, and when it eventually came to the Switch as well, he refused to license the original soundtrack for those consoles, and they brought in a whole new team to redo the soundtrack, so it was similar but different.
Man.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah.
That's rough. Music in general can be tough. Remember that thing that happened last year with Alex? Was it last year? Yes, with Alex Maurer,
Yeah.
composer for an indie game who had a contract dispute and started DMCAing videos.
That was
had
ugh.
Let's Plays that had the music
Oh, yeah.
from the game because they decided that that they were owed additional money, and so that nullified the contract that they had, and they had the rights, and the studio said, no, you were work for hire, you don't have any rights to the music, and it became a huge issue. So the contracts for music in particular seem difficult.
I know.
They seem very difficult at best. I think that entire industry
That's
is handled in a very different manner than we typically handle video games.
I mean, it does seem to be, and even we see that here. There's been, we're very strict about our music licensing, and that must go through the proper channels to get any of that stuff approved. So.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
Finally, some stuff about the PlayStation 5.
Okay.
So, I don't know, did you guys discuss any of this last week? Any PlayStation 5?
We
Stuff?
sort of touched on the same stuff we touched on in that news discussion.
Okay. So there's been an additional report that has come out since then from Jason Schreier from Kotaku. Remember, we did a standalone video about the PlayStation 5. There was some speculation about the hardware that it's going to be running, AMD stuff.
Sure.
There's some speculation about when it might be coming, which they were saying it could be coming this year. And at the time, we were
Really?
like, that seems off. This was more
Yeah.
speculation by the source based on the report that there are dev kits with developers already. Keeping in mind, if there are at an very early stage, dev kits are probably not, here's a prototype console. Dev kits are probably, here's some target hardware. This is the level that we're shooting for if you want to start developing something. So they're probably just really ugly PCs.
Also, Sony likes to ride their console lifetime out for a long time.
Well, the last console generation was unusual. It was longer than previous generations
Well,
by
even
far.
PS2 was insane.
That's true. They did keep PS2 in the market for several years after the PS3 was out.
Oh yeah, like I can't remember when the last one was
fact, they only
released.
just-
It was like towards the end of the PS3's lifetime. There was like the last game came out for PS2.
Yeah.
It was
Was it a
nuts.
FIFA, was it a FIFA game?
So they
It was a sports game, I'm pretty sure.
they stopped producing the PlayStation 2 in 2013.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Let me see what's the last PS2 game?
I'm pretty sure it was a sports game.
I think it was PES 2014 Pro Evolution Soccer.
Yeah. There we go.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. So
And what was the date on that?
I'm looking it up right now. I think it's 2014.
2014.
It was a soccer game. I was close.
nice. So
That was
they
4 years ago.
they do, but it's also like the Xbox 360 was manufactured for several years into the Xbox One life cycle, and a lot of that's because there's a market for people
Oh, yeah.
who want the cheaper thing. They don't want the newer thing.
Yeah, but
mostly probably like parents or grandparents who are like, oh, it's super cheap now.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm just saying, like Sony traditionally like gives their consoles a real good lifespan. I don't know. I just don't feel like right now my PS4 is serving all of my console needs. Like
Yeah.
I feel like it's going strong, and I'm not like, damn, I really wish we had a new console now.
Well, they're also selling so well at this point that they're on track to pass the PS2 for lifetime sales.
That's crazy.
And it seems like if I was Sony and I was the big boss of Sony, I'd say, let it ride. That's what I would say in every board meeting.
Just
And
like
people would be
that.
like, so when should we put out the PS5? And I'd be like, let it ride.
Hire Ashley. She can do it.
Yeah, I can run Sony. I can run that shit. No big deal, right? Gotta be pretty easy. Anyone can do it. Please don't. I can't.
No, you've got your one policy.
Let it ride.
Let it ride. And just see where the company goes.
I'm running for election for PlayStation boss. That's how it's done, right?
Yep.
And
That's his.
that's my campaign promise.
Vote for
let
Ashley.
Let it ride.
All you have to do is hire Cambridge Analytica, right?
Oh God. Yeah, that whole thing is fun. Speaking of, there's another we could talk about. It's that involves Steam. It's
Okay.
Fallout from some
Aw,
privacy stuff.
This is sad.
This is a little sad. But last thing on the PlayStation note is people are saying 2018, and Jason Schreier's report is saying no, it's going to be a while, like 2020-ish maybe.
A while for
which
what,
seems
sorry?
it's for PS5. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, got it.
Seems reasonable.
So Sony may also be saying let it ride,
Okay.
which I can support. But that seems more reasonable to me. That puts it at like 7. That's like a 7-year lifespan
Yeah.
for the PS4, which I'm sure would continue out for several years after they release the PS5.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of exclusives planned this year and next year already, so they'd have to start doing, generation bridging for some of those titles if they wanted to bring it out this early. It seems like the 2018 thing just seems too soon, but it looks like that's not going to be the case,
Okay.
which I'm fine with. I
am
don't.
too.
Admittedly, I can see an argument for it in that the base PS4, it's no longer pushing the limits of console hardware.
Yeah.
It was, but hardware continues to outpace everything, and so now it's not. And so that was the PS4 Pro was they were like, look at the 4K nows, look at all the 4Ks.
But also the 4K on that apparently is like, I know it was the Xbox version. The 4K was kind of like, it's there, but it's.
Yeah. So, I can see why you'd say, like, well, get one out that's more powerful that can
Yeah.
better support that. But then you're looking at, like, we could do that every year.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. As long as what they need, I think, for PS5, which they've managed fine without it for PS4, but I think backwards compatibility would be great. I think Xbox is doing a really good job with that. They just announced a new round of new original Xbox backwards compatible stuff.
I think
Oh, cool.
this generation of architecture is going to be a lot easier to move forward with than cell processing was. So.
Yes, that's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true. But the other thing about Facebook is actually about Steam.
Okay.
But it's kind of related to the similar privacy concerns. Steam just rolled out a new update adding some new privacy features for users that so you can hide your game details, which means like your game library will be private. how many hours you've played in
Well, that stuff's
in
already
Honeypop
hideable.
will be hidden.
That stuff's already hideable, but it's going to be hidden by default.
It's hidden by default, yeah. So
Okay.
basically, Steam Spy, have you heard of that? So Steam Spy it's basically a third-party utility. It's a data scraper.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, I have
How
heard.
many
Of course,
people
yeah.
own?
Yeah. So it basically scrapes the Steam API, takes a sample size, it's like a certain, percentage or number of accounts, and then takes like the game list and extrapolates ownership data
Yeah.
based on that. So it's not concrete numbers. It's just here's an estimate based on this sample size of how these games are probably doing. Here's how many sales they've got. Here's
Right.
how many, here's how many players in the last 30 days, and so on. And it's really the only the only independent tool, the only way to see a lot of that data, because as everything's moved digital, it's also gotten really opaque.
Yeah.
You used to get used to be able to just rely on NPD numbers for game sales, because they could just go to all the retailers and say, "What are you selling?"
Yep.
and be able to report on it. And now with the move to digital, so much of that is handled through the platforms. So it's handled through the PlayStation Store or the Xbox Store or Steam. That unless the specific publishers decide to release the numbers,
Yep.
there's no way for anyone else to get them
And usually they don't.
and do any. Yeah, they don't release the numbers unless they have a story they want to tell. with those
Right. And
numbers.
even sometimes it's like even if it's something positive, like the game's selling like absolute crazy, sometimes still they're just like, no, we don't need to share that, because like that lets people know just how much money they're making,
Right.
So
So this has been one of the few tools available that you can get an idea how different games are doing, how things are going with the industry.
the update's gonna break it.
Yes.
Yep.
The update, it's now shutting down because with everything now privated by default. And here's the thing. There's speculation that this is to comply with new privacy regulations that are going into effect in Europe. That everyone has to be compliant by the end of May, like May 25th or something.
I remember hearing something about that.
Yeah, so there's all these new regulations that are going to start holding companies accountable for privacy breaches and requiring different privacy options. So there's speculation that this is to accommodate for that. But here's the thing. The only data that's now being privated by default is your game lists, not your profile. They can still see your name. They can still see your profile. They can still see everything about you.
Weird.
They just won't be able to see your game list.
So this was like directly against Steam Spy then.
That's what it feels like they're, to me, maybe I'm being a conspiracy theorist here. You tell me. But it seems to me a little bit pointed, like they're using
Yeah.
privacy as the excuse to shut down Steam Spy.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if this was really, I would, again, I don't know for sure, but the first thing that they would do if this was really about privacy is private your name and your personal information. Like,
Right.
what
so,
the hell?
And I
oh no,
felt-
the games I'm playing. Like,
It took me a little while to find the privacy settings because I'd never looked for them before. But yeah, so looking at it by default, my profile is public, and that includes profile summary, friends list, badges, Steam level, showcases, comments, group membership, and then the game details by default, friends only. That includes the list of games, what you've wishlisted, your achievements, your playtime, and whether you're seen as in-game when you're playing stuff. And then there's also a separate category for inventory, which is like things that you
Cards
get
and
through,
things,
Steam
yeah.
trading, that sort of stuff. Which that's fine. Make that friends only. I don't. There is a thriving Steam trading card
economy. Yeah.
I absolutely used it at one point, boosted myself a bunch of levels, and went, "That's about good," and stopped. So I don't mind about that personally, but it's weird to me that by default, that stuff, like my details got left public, and they just hid that. It seems like
It's pretty weird.
I would care more about the opposite.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Hey, real fast, while we're talking about Steam, do you guys remember when Steam was fucking awful? Like,
Oh my God.
so, I love that. Like, you talk to people nowadays, and everyone's just like, Steam is the
Steam
greatest
was
thing.
amazing.
It's the
I remember
best thing to ever play.
because that was what, Half-Life 2?
I think it was
Counter-Strike
04.
1.5.
Oh God.
So, I was a Counter-Strike 1.5 player, right? And played the hell out of that game. And then in Counter-Strike 1.6, they rolled out this new thing called Steam.
Yeah, the green I remember that progress bar. It was like green and yellow, right? Green with yellow progress bar.
Yeah,
it was all ugly.
Oh Jesus! And the friends list was broken for over a year.
Never worked. Yeah.
And to play Counter-Strike now, you had to go through Steam, and it was just such an extra pain in the ass, and everyone hated it. It was like the worst thing in the world. And now it's amazing. I love Steam. It's
Okay,
great.
I actually found like a really old GIF.
Oh,
I'm going to send this to. Should I send this to Control Broadcast?
Send it to me and I'll get to him.
Okay. All right, Ben, I'm sending this to you because I remember this making the rounds when everyone hated Steam.
I forgot all about that.
And everyone was complaining that it suddenly was it's digital. It was like this online. It was this DRM. It is all those things. It's just easy enough to use. And,
Works now.
And
It works.
And works so people just sort of don't
Broadcast
care.
game,
God, the control room is having a good laugh over it. I'm glad you guys enjoy it too. I actually have this saved on the desktop of another laptop because just going back to it, it's like
Remember where we came
reliving the days.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like,
And that's so funny, especially for younger gamers that they've only ever known Steam as this holy grail of PC gaming, and it's no.
yeah.
Back in the day.
Steam used to suck. Like when you try to play games offline, it would just totally take a shit.
Yeah.
There was an offline mode that just didn't work. Yeah. You'd start an offline mode and be like, you don't have any games in offline mode. What?
Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Good old Steam.
There you go.
This is a fun one.
There you go, kids.
Yep.
So that was Steam. Now everyone loves Steam.
Yep.
And for good reason. It's a good platform. But I can't help but grieve a little bit for the loss of transparency.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
having privacy options for people is obviously a good thing. It's a good step forward to be able to control that stuff and have granularity there.
That stuff is already there though. Like you just not. They're just changing the defaults, and it just fucks over stuff.
Yeah, I feel like they put a privacy spin on it so that people would accept something that they were doing. If they had basically said, we don't like Steam Spy and we're shutting this down, people would riot. But
yeah, absolutely.
but if they can just say, it's about your privacy,
Yeah.
then suddenly it's totally fine, whatever. And having privacy, protecting privacy, good. We don't need Facebook, we don't need Cambridge Analytics taking over the video game industry, which I'm sure they care very much about. But regardless, it's, I get it. We think of Steam Spy as he's, like the good apple. But bad apples could do things with the data as well, like suddenly start shaming people for all the crazy, sexy visual novels they have, or, whatever. But, so there is the downside to that sort of transparency as well. But I will be sad for the loss of Steam Spy. I think it was a great tool and helped us get be able to see what was happening. Remember when No Man's Sky, people were returning it, and you could actually see owners drop and get an idea of how severe that issue was.
I think
Steam wasn't going to talk about it.
I think Steam Charts is a Steam run website, and I think that still works to some, but it doesn't have the same level of detail.
Yeah, Steam Spy was very good at what it did.
But I could be wrong on Steam Charts. It could be another third-party thing that's going away, but I thought Charts was related to Steam.
Rest in peace,
All data
Steam
powered
Spy.
by Steam. It's not affiliated with Valve in any way. So
Okay.
Steam Charts is also unofficial and could be affected by this.
Okay.
Yep. PUBG still killing it.
PUBG is still killing it. Still killing it. Did you hear, just really last thing, but you keep bringing up all these great segues. Did you hear about the PUBG ransomware?
No.
Oh,
Someone
that's-
started distributing ransomware that basically holds all the files on your PC hostage unless you play PUBG.
Unless you play it, you have to just.
Yeah. You only have to play it for 3 seconds.
Wait,
and then it'll
who did
unlock
this?
stuff. I don't know who did it. It's just it's called PUBG ransomware, and it makes you play PUBG in order to unlock your computer.
All right, this
Jesus.
PUBG Fortnite shit is getting really out of hand. Somebody needs to step in.
Getting ridiculous. Well, then there's calls. Now there's all these petitions. It turns out it was a joke, but people signed it seriously to ban Fortnite because they were like, my significant other and my friends are addicted to it, and they're playing it in class, and that's bad. And I agree, playing it in class is bad.
Yeah. Depends on the class. I had some boring classes.
You know what I did in
A
class?
lot of positive messages here today. So.
I slept.
Oh man,
I mastered. Did you ever master the
was-
way of sleeping so that you slept, but if the teacher asked you a question, you could totally answer it?
No, I would just sleep and drool. But that we lived in a different time. We slept during classes when we had touch-tone phones and things like that. We didn't have laptops that could play Fortnite.
That's true, but I also used school to catch up on sleep so I could go home and play more EverQuest
Oh,
or
yeah.
whatever.
I was a WoW addict throughout most of my high school years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and on that positive note, as the best role models that we could possibly be for all students everywhere, we will wrap it up. So thank you guys so much for joining us. If you're a Rooster Teeth First member, make sure you watch New Game Plus, our first exclusive post show on the website, theno.tv. We have a new website. It's fancy, it's schmancy, and you should absolutely check that out if you get a chance. If you are not a First member, you can get a free trial so that you can watch all our first exclusive content, see what's up, see if you feel like it's for you. And regardless, we'll see you guys next week for some more Glitch Please.